What's up everybody, Stone's Poi here. Today we're going to be looking at the Poi that I use. The Poi that I use are the V2 capsules from FlowToys and their Flowmoja mods. Now today we're going to be going over and looking at the performance, the durability, brightness, modes, price, and compare them to the old V1 pods that came out several years ago. One of the first things that everybody wants to know about when they start shopping for Poi, especially LED Poi, is price. Now, pods are pretty well priced. A set of the capsules that come in these will run you $134.95 for two of them. It comes with a tether, and it comes with the original pod capsule silicone head. If you want to get them with the capsule handles, which I don't have, they run $264.95. Essentially, you're getting 4 capsules, 2 that go in your Poi, and then 2 that go in the handles that are a longer shape. You essentially hold them like this. And then if you want the Flowmoja Contacts, which is what I have and they offer straight from their website, this will only run you $139.95. So just a few more bucks than just the standard V2s with the silicone head. Alright, so let's talk about performance on these guys. This is where these things really shine. First thing I want to talk about is their brightness. You will be absolutely shocked by how bright these things are. Now, they've got 5 different modes of brightnesses on them. They range from pretty dim to where you almost have to be in pitch black to some of the brightest I've ever seen. Apparently, some of the Ultra Poi are a little bit brighter and the Zebra Poi are a little bit brighter. However, there are other things that go along with these guys that I feel make them superior to those. And I've spoken with people who actually own those, and that was their opinion. So let's talk about the brightness on these guys. Now, as you can tell, I've got a lot of light coming in from outside. It's bright outside, it's pretty bright in here. And you're gonna see just how bright these things can get in daylight. You can actually cycle through the brightness levels on these. One of their modes allows you to do that. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's your maintenance mode. You can go to the second one, and that's where your brightness is. And we're gonna adjust this, and as soon as I adjust it, it's gonna drop to the dimmest setting, and it's gonna work its way up through all 5. That's dim. That's as dim as it gets. Second. Third. Fourth. And finally, the 5th brightest. Now this is daylight. This is how bright these things are. In comparison, this is a V1, this is a V2. Here we go. Take it all the way to the same. These are on the same mode right now. Okay, V1, V2. That is an exceptionally large brightness difference. I don't know how much you can tell on camera, but this is very distinctive. We can pop them out and we can kind of look at it. And without, it's too bright, it's blowing out the camera. From my experience on these, usually about brightness mode 2 or 3 is about the equivalent of the V1s. Now, that brightness comes with a downside, is your battery life. Now, on the dimmer settings, or setting 2 or 3 of brightness, you will get hours and hours and hours and hours of performance out of your Poi. Cool thing about pods, and they've always had this, is in the off position, you can simply press, and it will tell you how much battery it has left. So green is full, yellow, orange, red is almost dead. At the brightest setting, I performed a test that I put it in full bright, and I put it on the white setting, and I just left them on my bed and started timing them. 3.5 hours before they went red, which is pretty impressive, and seems to be a little longer than if you were actually using them. The kinetic sensor seems to add a little bit of something, as well as when you set them down and you just leave them, they start strobing a little bit, and I think it's a battery saving device. I think it's not as solid as it looks, so it's saving some battery. Drex said that when he tested these, they only lasted about 2 hours. I got longer, so possibly different, and of course also could be a different mode. But in my opinion, battery life on these at the brightest setting isn't too bad. It's enough to go out to the club or go out to an event and spin at full brightness all night until you're exhausted and not really run into an issue. Cool thing I noticed about these, as opposed to the V1s, when the V1s die, they just die. The V2s, when they get to an exceptionally low battery level, they will switch out of whatever mode and brightness they're in and into a slightly strobing red. Red is the easiest color for these to make, so it tends to go into an extremely low battery saving mode that still allows you to spin when your batteries are dead, which I thought was really cool. Let's talk durability. Now, capsules from FlowToys are pretty durable. They've done a lot of different tests. They've got a lot of videos of them getting run over and getting whacked against stuff, and they are ridiculously durable compared to other Poi. Take a set of future Poi and whack them against something like you can these, and you're going to be lucky if those ever turn on again. These, you can beat pretty hard and not have them just stop working on you. One of the things that the V1s encountered was that the battery cable that ran from the battery side of your capsule to the board, there's two wires right here, and they would tend to break and to start working back and forth, or the soldering wasn't that good. I myself have fixed quite a few pods, mine and other people's, back in the day, but the V2s seem to have fixed that. There seems to be more length. They are now routed in a way that it doesn't seem to put strain and stress on it when it shakes. Now, the cool thing about getting these directly from FlowToys is that they come with a lifetime warranty. And when FlowToys says lifetime, they mean it. They will literally take a old capsule that you found on the ground at a festival, and you can send it in and they will give you half credit towards a new set. So you send in an old busted one that you found on the ground, you can then get a new capsule for half the price. They have this amazing warranty where they just want to get you flowing. Now, I had some issues when I first ordered these guys. Mainly, I had it with the fatty cord that came with it. It was just, it would tend to peel off. I threw a lot of orbitals, and it would peel back, and this outer layer would come out. And it ended up being because of the metal ring that they keep inside of it. It had a little bit of an edge, and it was just wearing on it. But all it took was a simple email, and they immediately sent out replacements. It happened a couple of times before we narrowed down what was going on, that it was the ring that was actually fraying the rope itself. But every single time, it was a single email, and they immediately sent out the replacement. And no cost to me, no problem, within hours. FlowToys knows how to take care of their customers. So let's talk about the difference between the V2s and the V1s. Now, every mode that was in the V1s is in the V2s, and it's in the V2's first of 3 pages. So what they've done is that they've broken up the modes into sets of pages, each with 12 to 13, I think it's 12 modes with a 13th shuffle mode at the end of it, which is highly customizable and highly nice. You can actually go in and change how long it stays on each mode before it switches, so you can have it go really quick, or you can have it so where it's about, 15 seconds, 20 seconds per mode before it shuffles, which is enough to actually get a nice amount of pattern in your flow before it switches off, and then it just cycles through. You can do that on all 3 pages. Now, you access these by simply 1, 2, or 3 times clicking. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. To get all the way back around to 1, since they're all the way on, you got to be 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we go. Now we're on the first page. This first page has all of these modes. Okay. Now, I actually had to turn the brightness down on this because it was blowing my camera out. Once again, these things are so bright. Some of the modes in the V2s in the different pages are actually really cool. They've got some really cool patterns in here. Not just the patterns, but the way the patterns work. There are kinetic awareness sensitive modes in here, to where whenever it hits against something, it'll flash. Or when you come up and it no longer has any kind of kinetic on it, like for a stall, it'll flash. Or even ones that will change color based on how much kinetic pressure is being applied to it. It'll start red when it's not going very much, and then it turns into the golds and the yellows and the blues at the end as you spin it. One of the nicest features about the V2s is they are Bluetooth compatible and enabled. You can turn it on, you can turn it off. There doesn't seem to be a significant amount of battery drain when it's on, and they communicate with each other. Very, very handy for just turning one on or turning them off without having to get them both. You can link them up to however many you want, and there's tons and tons of different colors and modes that you can put them in and link them up together. It's a pretty intuitive system. And then there is even a universal white link mode that you can just everybody put in, and then you can get a whole bunch of capsules together in a big flow group, and everybody has capsules and they're all on the same mode, and you can have one person off to the side deciding what everybody's mode is. Okay. Now, one of the coolest things that I love about this is the ability to see what pattern you're on without sitting there and shaking it. Now, the V1s, you always had to hit it, shake it. Okay, what mode is that? Hit it, shake it. Okay, what mode is that? Okay, everybody says pods has done this. Now, with the V2s, you can sit here and change it while you're spinning one. So you can see what mode you're on, as well as to go into the adjust mode that every setting has, and be able to find what color palette you want, how fast you want it to go, etc. One of the most convenient things I've seen in Poi. Okay, so I want to talk about the Flowmoja contacts that I personally have. Now, obviously I've had the V1s, and I've had the soft shell that comes with them. Now, this soft shell has some drawbacks, and we're going to talk about those. So the first thing I want to talk about is how it's held together. Now, this cord goes down through here, and it actually goes inside of the capsule that's inside of it, and then that capsule locks into a ring that's at the bottom of the silicone base. Now, the problem is that all that's holding this together is this little plastic ring, okay? And it goes through these things. Now, when you're actively spinning, as I do, I tend to go pretty hard when I'm performing, what'll happen is that one or two of these will pull out. This happens all the time. You will find yourself very regularly checking your pods to make sure that all three of these are pushed through. Because what happens is that these pull out, then it's really easy for your tether to just come out of the capsule. And I personally have had multiple times where I've had capsules go flying across the room when I went into an orbital because it came out and then pulled right out of the capsule. So that is a downside to these. One of the other downsides to these is how the side protects the capsules from impacts. Now, down here, it's fairly solid. You could hit that against something pretty hard here on the edge and your capsule is going to be fine. However, here on the side, which is pretty, it's pretty common to actually hit it there, it's really thin. And all this does is collapse down and your capsule is just exposed under there. So you hit that thing against an edge of a desk or a table somewhere you're close by and you didn't see it and you whacked it against it, your capsule is taking one heck of an impact. And it definitely affects the components inside, especially that battery cable that I was talking about, may very well have been caused, at least in part, to the way they hit. Now, the Flowmojas, on the other hand, are hard all the way around, which means if you hit yourself, you're going to know it. Okay, racking yourself with these will put you on the ground. Trust me, I've done it. It's a whole new world of pain as opposed to the soft shells. So, if you're a beginner, I do recommend the soft shells. These don't hurt. You will not come away with bruises as you're learning Poi. If you're a beginner, I highly recommend going with the soft shells. However, if you're a couple year spinner and feel comfortable with most of your arsenal, then these are great. Okay, contacts. Most Poi spinners will encourage you to get contacts at some point or another, so you can do arm rolls, whatever. As far as the durability of these, this is where it gets kind of cool. So unlike other mods contact mods for the capsules, which are just a silicone ball with a hole drilled on either side, and then you just put your capsule in. These actually go all the way through. It is solid on the sides, which means that when you hit these against something, your capsule isn't the thing that's taking the impact. Your poi is, and it's got some give to it, so it will give a little bit, and you're not going to be transferring all of that kinetic force onto your delicate components in here. The way the Flowmojas lock in as well, I really like. So you no longer have a ring at the top that snaps into it. It just slides down and pushes through. Okay, you've got this little nipple sticking out on the back, but it's flush up here at the top, which is where your button is. Alright, let's talk about weight. One of the things most pod owners will say, at least with the original silicone housing, is that they are light. Pods are very, very light, and a lot of people like to try to add flow mass to them. I prefer these. These have a little bit more weight to them. They're better for tosses. They're better for stalls. And all around just give you a little bit more control than you do when things are light. All in all, I highly recommend the V2s from FlowToys. You cannot go wrong with a lifetime warranty. You cannot go wrong with the durability of these things. You cannot go wrong with the brightness and the number of modes that you have. Now, we're approaching ease of use limits with how many things we can pack into a single button system. But under 150, you can get a top of the line set of LED poi that are so bright, people will comment on how bright they are. So let's talk about handles real quick. Now, you may have noticed I do not have capsule handles on these. These are not from FlowToys, these are from UltraPoi. The reason I chose UltraPoi knobs is because the only handle that FlowToys offers is the capsule handle. It's a capsule that is in a silicone sleeve that you hold like this. It's this long cylinder object. I don't like spinning with them. I don't like the way they feel. Now, I did email FlowToys about this when I purchased these and mentioned this, that I had to go to one of their competitors and purchase one of their products because I don't like spinning with capsule handles, and I know several people don't. I like a nice palm grip on it. Their response was that they do indeed have plans to come out with a smaller handle, but as of right now, it's still in production. So maybe in the next year or so, we will have a FlowToys handle that actually works and feels good. If you'd like to know about my opinion on the UltraPoi, go ahead and hit the video up there. I will be linking a full review of these because I think they're a little more in depth than to just tack on to the end of this review. So if you want to see that, go ahead and check out the video and let me know what you think. So, what is my conclusion on the V2s? My opinion on the V2s is they are the best bang for your buck as far as LED poi. I have a set of futures. I've spun with Zebras, I've spun with UltraPoi, I've spun with Ninjas. These are the ones I highly recommend for anybody trying to get into poi seriously. If you want to spend $150 on a set of poi, this is where to go. You cannot go wrong with the warranty, you cannot go wrong with the features, the durability, or the brightness of these. Once again, a beginner, I highly recommend the soft silicone heads. More experienced people, if you want to get a set of contacts, you can't go wrong with the Flowmojas. These are great. Now, I know Chris Kelly offers pod mods. I've had one of those, and I prefer the Flowmojas. Although one of my poi bros who has had a set of pod mods stated that he's not a fan of the way these things stick out the back, but that's all up to personal preference. I think they're about the same price. The reason that I highly recommend going with the Flowmojas over Chris Kelly's is because you're getting them from FlowToys, so you get the lifetime guarantee. Okay, it covers everything. It covers this, covers your tether, covers the handle if you get it. Warranty. These are toys. These are physical toys that you will beat the crap out of. You can tell, I don't know if you can see, but there are scuffs all over my capsules, from hitting them against the ceiling, hitting them against the walls, hitting them against each other. You're gonna beat the crap out of these. So having a lifetime warranty that you don't have to pay for, and you will have for the life of you, I feel is very important and highly recommended. If you don't have the money for a new set of LEDs, we will be talking about how to make your own set of sock poi here in the next week or so. It's really easy, it's super cheap, it'll cost you less than $10, and I still spin with socks to this day. I enjoy socks very much and will use them to learn new things, especially tangles. Any kind of string-on-string contacts with your poi are great with socks. So don't feel you need to go LED if you're just starting out. Build yourself a pair of socks. They're great. Anyway, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe for me. It really helps me out. Let me know down in the comments what you want to learn. We can do tutorials. We can do some more product reviews. I do have a set of future poi. I can do a full review of those. And we definitely will be doing a review of my Ultra Knobs. So, thanks for watching. My name is Stones. Peace.